What's up, guys? This is Big D, and once again you're watching Big D Films. Welcome to a special edition of the Shattered Glass Saloon. Obviously I'm not in my studio. I am actually, in fact, coming to you live, pre-recorded, from my hotel room in Traverse City. I've just completed my first day of my 3-day Traverse City trip that's celebrating the 5-year anniversary of Big D Films. And so I want to do a little something different, a little something special for this edition of the Shattered Glass Saloon during this anniversary and as part of Remember the Undertaker month. I hope you can hear me. I try not to talk too loud, but you know, again, I got people on all sides of me and everything, so I'm still trying to be able to do this, but I just hope that you can hear me. So today what I want to talk about, being that again this is the 5-year anniversary of Big D Films, I kind of want to give you the history of Big D Films, especially for our newer audience, you know, newer subscribers to the channel. Maybe you haven't seen all of my stuff, or you don't know exactly how all of this came about. So I've always loved doing, you know, video type stuff. I've started videotaping all the way back in like 2006 when we were doing backyard wrestling matches in my mom and dad's backyard, and we would do this stuff every week. I filmed everything that we did, and you know, try to make little shows and stuff out of it. I kind of just had a knack for that. That's just something that I like to do. I had no way of editing that stuff at the time, but it was still fun to just to film it and be able to watch it back. And so I did that for a while, but it wasn't until 2010, tail end of that year, where I bought my first motorcycle, which I've talked about in another video. But once I got that, you know, I learned to ride and stuff, and by the time 2012 rolled around, I joined the riding club that I'm with, and we were getting ready to go to Baldwin for the first time. And it was, you know, one of the biggest, you know, rides that I had ever been a part of. And I was going to an event that I had never seen before, and I wanted to be able to remember that. I wanted to have something to, you know, some way to look back on that. And you know, my mom, she takes a lot of pictures. I know a lot of people take pictures, and pictures are cool, but a picture only captures one split second. You know what I mean? Just one quick moment in time, and that's it. Where video, it's going to capture whatever it is that's in front of the camera for as, you know, as long as the battery lasts, or until you turn it off, or whenever you see fit. You know, it's going to capture that. And so video has always just kind of been my thing. And so I decided to take a camera with me and film, you know, that first trip out to Baldwin. I didn't have any way of putting it up on YouTube or out online or anything. I wasn't even thinking about, you know, that kind of thing back then. All I wanted is to be able to, you know, look back on that sometime down the road. And the next, I think, 2 years at least were the same thing. And then finally I decided to get the action cam, and it's still the one that I use to this day. But the third year or something, I got to thinking to myself, I said, you know, filming stuff at the event is cool, but you know, the video is missing the journey of how we get there. You know, the ride to get to this event and anything else that comes along with it. So I got the action cam, and at that point I could start, you know, recording the ride itself too. But I learned something very crucial that first time doing that, because again, I really had no way of editing anything, so whatever it was that I shot got mashed together, and that was the video. Really no such thing as editing, really. So when I used the action cam for the first time, I did the same thing, and that one video ended up almost like 2 hours long. And it, like, wow, that's a bit much. I got to do something about that. that's when I ultimately decided for trips like that, or even like this one that I'm on currently right now, where if there's multiple days, you'll have a video for each day. It kind of keeps that time down. You know, it's a little bit easier to manage. And so at that point, you know, I started recording a few more rides with the club. And I wanted a way for the other club members to be able to go back and watch those rides and events. So I started a Freedom Cruisers Chapter 21 channel. And so any rides that we did, I'd post on there, and then I can go back and look at them whenever I want. Any of the other members could go back and watch them whenever they wanted. And if somebody else came along and wanted to see them and did watch them, cool. But that's, again, not really something that I was thinking about at the time. So as I was doing more and more of these, especially by 2015, and at that point I started thinking to myself, I said, you know, I was getting real proud of these. Now, none of these are very good. They're still up on that channel. They're still available to watch to this day. Some of them are kind of hard to watch, but I was pretty proud of these things. And, you know, I was like, I need some way to brand these, you know what I mean? So people know that it's me that's doing them. And so I put this little, you know, opening thing together, and in the top it said Big D Films. And when I presented that idea to my wife at first, and I said, well, I'm Big D, I'm putting these little films together, Big D Films. And she kind of laughed it off at first and was like, yeah, okay. Well, I decided to run with it anyway. Well, the tail end of 2015, I had put this trip together, this 3-day trip. It was pretty late in the year, so it was getting cold. But I wanted to do one last, you know, trip with the club. And it was a 3-day trip to Traverse City in the Grand Traverse area. And at first I had a few people, you know, basically sign up to go with me and wanted to do it. But as we got closer and closer to those dates, they started kind of falling off, you know, kind of backing out. And maybe it was even a couple days or maybe a week before the trip, everybody had backed out of the trip. And y'all should know me by now. If I got my mind set on something, well, that's what I'm going to do. You know, I got the time off of work. I already had the hotel rooms booked. I've already been looking forward to this for weeks. I'm going. And so I packed up my stuff and off I went. Well, partway through that trip, and I don't remember exactly when it was during that trip I decided this, but I thought to myself, I said, well, this really isn't a club thing anymore. What am I going to do with these videos once I finish them? And so I was like, well, I suppose I can just start my own channel, I guess, and I'll put them up on there. And by the time I got home from that trip, this trip, 5 years ago, I said, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And so when I got home, I put them together, and I actually made the actual Big D Films YouTube channel. And at first, I was going to try to run both channels. I was like, okay, well, anytime I do something for myself, I'll put it on there, or any rides that we do, you know, club stuff, I'll put it on the club one. And I did that for a short time. Well, by the time the Baldwin trip came up again the following year, so 2016, I was like, well, okay, well, I want to put this on my channel, but it is a club thing. So, well, what if I try to film a couple extra things, you know, I guess just from my perspective, you know, a little more personalized towards me, and that's what I'll use for mine, and then the club, all the other stuff I'll put on the club one or something. And so I filmed a whole bunch of stuff that year. And by the time I got home and I edited and put the 3 videos together, again, one for each day, and uploaded them to the Big D Films channel, I thought to myself, why would I do 3 more for the club ones? I did film a little bit of extra stuff, but not a whole lot, so these videos are going to be pretty much the same as the ones I just done. So why would I even do that? That doesn't even make any sense. So I decided, like, you know what, I'm not going to do that, you know. they're just on my channel, and that's just what it is. They were already uploaded to my channel at that point. And I got to thinking to myself, I said, you know, if there happens to be, you know, other rides and stuff that I do that's myself, that's just me, or just me and my wife, or whatever, they're going to go on my channel, and I want some more content to put on there, and so I think I'll just put everything on my channel. I mean, I'm labeling it as Big D Films. I'm already got it, you know, branded with that and everything else. I might as well just put them on mine and be done with it. And so that's what I decided to do. And at that point, the club channel, I just haven't uploaded anything to it since then. But in that first little while there for this channel, I was doing a lot more than just motorcycles and ride stuff. Yeah, again, at the time, I had the club channel going on, and I felt I needed something else for my own channel. And I said, well, you know, this right here, this Big D Films channel could be a great place for me to incorporate all of my different, you know, hobbies and you know, passions. And so at the time, I was big into the Magic the Gathering, the card game, and you know, me and my brother and a few friends, we'd sit there and we'd film our games. You know, I've seen several other channels on YouTube do the very same thing. Well, I can do that. That's simple enough. And then I was always a fan of wrestling, so I would try to come up with like some little wrestling talk show things or something, try to discuss wrestling here on the channel and stuff, and you know, along with a couple other things. And it was pretty apparent pretty quick that I was doing too much. I didn't realize it at the time, but I finally did realize I can't gain an audience if I have too much stuff and it's here, there, and everywhere. You know, I'm not going to have enough content for a certain audience, or maybe I have too much for one audience and not another, and my audience will be, you know, divided and separated depending on what content I'm putting up. So I need to streamline this. And so that helped with making the decision of putting all the club rides also on my channel as well. I mean, I was filming them, I was putting them together. I might as well, you know, just put them on mine, right? So that's just ultimately what I decided to do. And over time, start you know, learning some other little tricks and, you know, some little things to edit my stuff and make them just a little bit better. And by the time 2017 rolls around, I have an opportunity to resurrect my biggest pride and joy, and that was our wrestling show. And so about halfway through 2017, I kind of dropped Big D Films there for a good while because I wasn't riding. I had all of my focus, all of my attention and everything on SMIW. I created my own channel for that. You know, we were filming these matches and these shows. I was editing them and putting them together. We were making between half hour to almost hour and a half long episodes of stuff that we were doing. And I was using some of the tricks that I had learned from doing stuff like this for that, but then was also learning a few other tricks doing that stuff that I didn't realize I could use later on. Well, by the time the end of 2018 came about, SMIW had already filtered out, and you know, I was pretty bummed out about it. It bothered me quite a bit, and I was really down. And Nick, my buddy, we were just sitting down having a drink or two one night, and he said, you know, that Big D Films channel, you got something there. You need to do something with that. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's basically like, well, look at what you did with SMIW stuff. You know, with putting the whole episodes together, you know, and all that stuff. You can do stuff with Big D Films. You haven't met the potential of that yet. So if you were to put all of your time, energy, and effort into your Big D Films channel, I think you got something there. And, you know, I thought about it for a minute, and I said, you know, you may be right. You may be onto something there. You know, I am still doing the Big D Film stuff. It was very, very small, you know, very few things I was doing with it, but I was doing something with it from time to time. I said, you know, if I did put that kind of effort into Big D Films, you know, filming every single ride, try to spice up those videos a little bit, take some of those tricks that I've learned making the SMIW episodes, and, you know, trying to incorporate them, you know, and filter those ideas into this, you know, with how I put my videos together, I might be able to do something with that. And so I got a lot more serious with Big D Films in 2019. We went down to the Smoky Mountains. We did, that was a 9-day trip. Filmed every single day, everywhere that we went, and filmed, you know, full-length ride-throughs of certain motorcycle routes, and, you know, all types of different stuff. And on top of several other videos that I had done, you know, just really just making as much content as I could. Then this year rolled around, and I said, you know, I got to look into this stuff a little bit more. Because at that point, I still didn't have any idea about the YouTube algorithm, and I tried to stay away from social media. I think social media is practically the devil. I'll touch on that some other day. But I didn't, you know, wasn't doing anything social media wise. And I was just making videos and putting them up, making videos, putting them up, making videos, putting them up. And obviously, you know, nothing was growing, nothing was getting anywhere. Nobody, you know, really knew that I was even here. And so by 2020, I said, you know, I got to look into all of this other stuff that goes along with this. You know, there's more to it, obviously, than just uploading some videos. Got kind of curveball thrown in with, you know, being laid off of work because of the pandemic stuff, and but that right there allowed me to have some time off of work, and I started doing a couple other rides. Like I did the one along the Maumee River. I also did one to the Marblehead Lighthouse, and since I had some time, I could really, you know, tweak what I was doing and how I was doing it. Well, a couple months back, I said, okay, I really need to deep dive into all the rest of this stuff. So I started learning, you know, or trying my best to learn how to tag everything right. And I got the Instagram thing going, and, you know, I still got the Facebook thing going. And, you know, I'm trying to do a schedule where I'm uploading things every single given whatever day it was that I decided to do it. You know, try to stay on a schedule. Trying to do everything that I can the right way in order to grow this channel. And I think it's working a little bit, slowly but surely. You know, more and more of you guys are starting to find the channel, and I've gotten some great feedback, so I love you guys for that. But that's where we're at now. And it took 5 years from starting the Big D Films channel to get to this point. And even for me, the filming and editing goes way beyond that. So if I, you know, look at it a certain way, you know, I could say that I've practically been, you know, filming videos for the better part of like 14 years at this point. And, you know, just now starting to get to a point where I can actually make, you know, content the right way, and, you know, getting it uploaded and out to, you know, an audience the right way. It's taken that long for me to, you know, get to that point, but I think we're finally starting to get there. So, you know, that is some history of Big D Films and how we got to this point. And 5 years, big milestone, and I'm hoping to be here in another 5 years, you know, to be able to talk about something like this again, you know, the evolution of where it is right now to where it will be then, you know, and to be able to look back on, you know, how everything started and its progression and its evolution. You know, that's always a very cool thing to me. So, you know, that's where we're at right now. That is the history of Big D Films. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so that you know when the Shattered Glass Saloon is once again open for business, or if I got a road story to tell you, or if we're going out on another ride somewhere. Definitely want to stay tuned, because day 2 of this Traverse City Grand Traverse adventure is coming up shortly, and you ain't going to want to miss that. With that, this special edition of the Shattered Glass Saloon is closed. But drop your comments below, and we can keep this discussion going in the after hours. But until next time, I am Big D. You've been watching Big D Films, and until next time, we'll catch you down the road.